Chosen ones, God is warning you about a man. The truth will shake you to the core. Chosen one, this moment is not ordinary. You didn't click by accident. You didn't arrive here by curiosity or routine. Heaven has interrupted your steps for something urgent, because there's something you need to see, something you felt in your spirit but couldn't name. There is a man. Yes, a man whose name will shake you, and the Lord is warning you now, not to harm you but to save you. You've walked with questions buried beneath your peace. You've smiled while something inside you wrestled with a silence too loud to ignore. That wasn't just emotion. That was discernment. The Most High has been watching closely, and he's seen what you haven't. This man did not come dressed in destruction. No, he came in charm. He came with the right words, the right timing, the perfect mask. And because your heart is pure, because you give freely, he got close. But hear me, the Lord is tearing the veil now, not out of anger, but out of mercy. Because the enemy's tactic is subtle, his favorite deception. A counterfeit wrapped in what looks like light. But God never leaves his chosen ones blind. Right now, even as you listen, heaven is shifting something. The truth is approaching. The name is pressing. And by the end of this message, you won't just know who he is, you'll understand why your spirit never found peace in his presence. Stay here. Don't rush. This is holy. This is divine timing. And what you're about to hear could be the very thing that protects your future. Part 1. The familiar stranger. There is a man. He walks close to your life, maybe even standing in your inner circle. He knows your voice. He's seen your tears. He's watched your moments of weakness and celebrated your victories, but not always in sincerity. You've shared space, stories, maybe even secrets. He didn't come as an enemy. He came as a companion. But heaven sees deeper than eyes can see, and the Lord is sounding the alarm, because this man is not what he appears to be. He is familiar, yes, but something has always felt off. You brushed it aside, didn't you? You called it overthinking. You thought you were just being too cautious. You questioned yourself more than you questioned him. That's what makes him dangerous. Not because he's louder than your spirit, but because he learned how to speak your language. He mirrored your light, but he never carried it. He said the right things, but his heart wasn't in agreement with your purpose. And God, in his mercy, has allowed enough time for the fruit to show. The Lord has been watching him, not just his actions, but his intentions. While you were looking at his words, heaven was looking at his heart. And now God is ready to uncover what's been hidden. Because a delay in discernment is a doorway for damage. You thought he was sent to support you, but the truth is, he was allowed near you to reveal something deeper within you. Your need to stop choosing with your eyes and start trusting the Spirit. Psalm 64 says they shoot from ambush at the innocent, suddenly and without fear. He didn't need to raise his hand against you. He only needed to stand close enough to study your weaknesses, to speak just enough truth to gain your trust, and to remain long enough to slow down your calling. But the Lord says, no more. This is the hour where the mask begins to shift, where the disguise weakens under the light of revelation. God is showing you what you couldn't see before, not to embarrass you, but to empower you. Because the man who walks in your midst but speaks in shadows behind your back has now been marked by heaven. He was never a stranger. That's why this hurts. But his closeness is no longer a cover. His name is drawing near. And when it's revealed, you'll finally understand why your peace never settled when he walked into the room. Part 2. The disguised delay. He didn't show up to destroy you. Not directly. That would have been too obvious, too easy to risk. Instead, he came to delay you, to drain just enough of your strength that you questioned your direction, to cloud just enough of your vision that you doubted your decisions. He didn't block your purpose. He slowed it down. And that's what makes his presence so dangerous. Because the damage wasn't loud. It was subtle. It crept in like fog, settling over your clarity, and you didn't even realize how heavy things had become until now. He walked close enough to your assignment to speak into it, but not with the breath of life. His words didn't build, they bound. His praise came with strings. His encouragement carried shadows. And the sad part is, you listened. You opened your spirit, not because you were weak, but because you believed, because you saw potential, because your heart is wired for restoration. But there's a fine line between grace and delay, and heaven is drawing that line now. Your spirit has been restless, not because you were confused, but because something sacred was being interfered with. There were seasons when doors should have opened, but didn't. Ideas that should have flourished, but stalled. And through it all, there was always one voice speaking loud, smiling soft. Always present, but never pushing you toward purpose. That voice didn't sound like opposition. It sounded like support. But support without spirit is sabotage in disguise. And the Lord is showing you now that this man wasn't planted. He lingered. He attached himself to your growth without ever growing himself. He borrowed your light, but gave nothing back. And your destiny, chosen one, is too weighty to be tethered to someone who only wants to walk beside your success without investing in your struggle. This was never about his actions alone. It's about the atmosphere he carried, one that dulled your fire, one that made you question your own voice. God is intervening because the delay has done enough. The chains may not have looked like chains. They looked like companionship, like shared laughter, like loyalty, but deep down, they were assignments, sent to wrap gently around your dreams and pull them just far enough from your grasp to make you doubt if they were ever real. But you hear it now, don't you? The sound of freedom rising, the realization settling. The one you thought was helping you climb was really keeping you circling. And heaven is declaring this is the last time your calling will be put on pause for someone who was never meant to walk into your future. Part 3. Heaven's Whisper, the language of the Spirit. There were moments you couldn't explain. A sudden weight in your chest when his name came up. A tension in the air that had no cause, no words, just presence. Your spirit noticed what your mind wasn't ready to confront. And that's how the Spirit of God often speaks. Not in shouts, but in whispers. Not always in language, but in atmosphere. Not in explanations, but in that quiet inner tug that says something isn't right. You've asked yourself, why am I unsettled? You've blamed your emotions. You've rebuked yourself for being too suspicious, too guarded, too analytical. But let me tell you this in truth and in love. It was not fear. It was discernment. God was trying to get your attention long before now. You just didn't have the language for what you were sensing. Discernment doesn't always come with clarity. It often comes with conflict, a clash between your heart and your spirit, between what looks good and what feels off. And you, chosen one, were caught in that battle. Because the man you trusted knew how to speak peace, but couldn't carry it. He knew how to mimic light, but his footsteps didn't leave light behind. And your spirit knew. It always knew. But you needed time. You needed space to grow into the voice God placed inside you. Isaiah 30:21 says, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. That voice didn't disappear. It's been there all along. Every time you felt yourself shrink after a conversation, every time your joy dimmed without reason, every time you walked away from him and felt like something sacred inside you had been touched without permission. That was the whisper. That was the Holy Spirit tapping your shoulder and asking, do you see it now? This isn't paranoia. It's prophecy. What you called just a feeling was the language of heaven trying to preserve you. Because sometimes the greatest danger isn't what's attacking you, it's what's attached to you. And God, in his perfect timing, is now confirming what your soul has carried in silence. You weren't wrong, you weren't dramatic, you were discerning. And the hour has come where the whisper becomes a word, where the unease becomes understanding, and where what was felt in the shadows will finally be named in the light. Part 4. The Turning Point. Divine intervention begins. God's silence was never absence. It was strategy. While you wrestled with questions, while you tried to make peace with confusion, Heaven was moving behind the veil. There were things happening in the spirit realm that your eyes couldn't see, but your soul could feel. You thought you were stuck. You thought maybe God had forgotten. But now you're beginning to understand. It wasn't a delay. It was a setup for revelation. This is the turning point. The moment when what was hidden can no longer remain covered. The Most High has hours. Enough. He's pulling back the layers. He's revealing the intentions behind the smiles, the truth behind the timing, the heart behind the word, because deception cannot walk beside destiny. And your destiny is too sacred to be shared with someone who only came to borrow your light, but never protect it. Luke 12:2 says, "There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." That's the season you're in now, the season of unveiling, the season where spiritual eyes are opening and the fog is lifting. It might hurt to see clearly, the truth often does, but it's the kind of pain that heals, the kind that sets captives free. The man who's being exposed didn't come into your life by accident, but neither did you survive his presence by luck. God was guarding you, even in your uncertainty. You're still standing because heaven never took its eyes off of you. Every delayed blessing, every closed door, every unanswered prayer, it was divine protection in disguise. This is not a message of fear. It's a message of rescue. God isn't just revealing the truth. He's removing the obstacle. You're not just being warned. You're being delivered. And when this moment is over, you will not walk the same. You will not trust the same. You will not carry confusion where peace was meant to live, because once heaven speaks, every lie loses its power. Part 5. Wisdom from Heaven. How to recognize counterfeit connections. God doesn't just speak to expose. He speaks to equip. Because freedom isn't just about what you walk away from. It's about what you walk into with discernment and clarity. And the Lord is giving you wisdom now, so you won't repeat cycles that were never yours to live through again. First, listen to your spirit the first time. That initial unease, that strange silence in your soul when someone speaks, don't ignore it. That's the Holy Spirit trying to speak before the damage ever begins. You've trained yourself to be polite, to be forgiving, to give second chances, but discernment doesn't apologize for protecting what's sacred, and you are sacred. Your calling is sacred. Your peace is sacred. Second, don't be fooled by charm. Anyone can mimic care. Anyone can say the right words at the right time. But fruit doesn't lie. Patterns never lie. Matthew 7:16 says, "You will know them by their fruits," not their phrases, not their presence, their fruit. Does this person leave you closer to God or more confused about yourself? Do they pull you into purpose or keep you circling in emotional storms? Third, pay attention to your energy. Confusion is not a companion of the Spirit. God brings peace. God brings clarity. God brings forward movement. If someone's presence always leaves you second-guessing yourself, always drains your joy, always tightens your chest, believe what your spirit is telling you. God isn't calling you to carry what He didn't assign. Finally, stop clinging to what God is trying to cut. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's painful. But staying connected to a counterfeit will always cost you more than letting go. God's not just saving you from a man. He's saving you from the long-term consequences of misplaced trust. Trust what He removes. Trust what He reveals. Trust what He breaks apart. Because He's only breaking what was never built on truth. This wisdom is your armor now. Heaven is handing you the tools, not just to survive, but to stand strong. This is not just exposure, this is preparation. And when the name finally falls, you'll have everything you need, not just to recognize the truth, but to never be deceived again. Part 6. The name draws near. It's getting closer now. You can feel it in your chest. That tightening, that anticipation, not fear, but recognition. Your spirit is preparing itself, because the name is not far. And when it comes, it won't just be a name you've heard. It will be a name you've trusted. one you've defended, one you've allowed into spaces only the Spirit should have access to. That's why it's going to shake you. Not because you were foolish, but because you were faithful. You chose to believe in someone who only showed you what they needed to keep your trust. There's nothing more painful than realizing someone you prayed for was praying against you in silence. That while you were interceding for their future, they were interfering with yours. While you were covering them, they were studying your weaknesses. You thought you were building with them. You didn't know they were building off you. God allowed them to remain for a season, not because He agreed with their presence, but because He was showing you something about yourself, your loyalty, your blind spots, your tendency to overlook patterns for the sake of potential. But now the season has changed. The air feels different. The spiritual ground beneath you is shifting, and heaven is no longer whispering. Heaven is moving. This is the part where everything clicks. All the uneasy moments, the words that didn't quite settle, the way your energy shifted around Him. This is where the weight of confusion lifts and is replaced by clarity so sharp it almost cuts, because the name is not just a name. It's a symbol of everything that tried to wrap itself around your purpose and make itself necessary. And God is declaring that you need no one but Him to walk in the fullness of your calling. You might grieve the name, you might feel the sting of betrayal, but you will also feel peace rush in, like a flood. Because when God removes a person, He removes the grip they had on your future. When He reveals the truth, He replaces every broken piece with supernatural strength. You're not just being informed, you're being released. Part 7. From revelation to release. This is where you stop carrying what was never yours. The weight of keeping peace when your spirit was already disturbed. The pressure of maintaining connection with someone God already cut off in the spirit. It ends here. Because revelation without release only leads to torment. God doesn't show you the truth just so you can sit in sorrow. He reveals to restore, to reset, to redeem.
You've seen enough now. You've heard enough now. Your eyes have been opened, and once heaven opens your eyes, you can't go back to pretending you didn't see. You can't unfeel what your spirit confirmed. You can't unknow what God has made clear. So let it go. Let the image of what you thought He was fall away. Let the dream of what He could have been dissolve in the light of what He truly is. There's no more space for confusion in this next season. No more emotional gymnastics trying to make someone's actions align with your expectations. No more silencing your intuition for the sake of someone else's comfort. This is your release. This is your moment to walk away from the entanglement with your head held high, your heart still whole, and your spirit burning brighter than ever. Ecclesiastes 3:7 says, "There is a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak." God is speaking now, and He's not just speaking to reveal the man, He's speaking to call you out of emotional captivity, out of spiritual confusion, out of delay and doubt and false loyalty. This is not just about Him, this is about you, about your future, about your identity, about your alignment with heaven. You are being released from what tried to redefine you, distract you, and disguise itself as divine. And now, as the veil lifts and the truth settles into your bones, you are free, not just from the man, but from the mindset that made room for him. You're stepping into new territory, not with bitterness, but with boldness, not with fear, but with wisdom, because God never reveals without restoring. And what's coming next will require all of your attention, all of your strength, and all of your focus. There's no longer room for deception, only destiny. Part 8. The Rise of the Chosen. Now that the truth has come forth, something inside you has shifted. It's not just that you know more, it's that you see differently. The fog has lifted. The weight you thought was just part of life has been named and removed. And what's left in its place is not emptiness. It's space. Space for clarity, space for healing, space for purpose, space for the voice of God to echo where distraction once lived. You are not the same person who began this journey. Revelation has matured you.
Discernment has sharpened you. The tears you've cried in confusion are now watering the soil of your next season. And make no mistake, this is a new season, one marked not by broken trust, but by divine alignment, one where you no longer chase approval, one where your spirit stands guard over your peace like it's holy ground. Because it is. This is where the chosen rise. Not just because they've survived betrayal, but because they've learned to walk through it without letting it harden their heart. This is where your strength returns. Not the strength to pretend, but the strength to walk in truth, to say no when the Spirit says no, to walk away when peace departs, to listen when God whispers, even if it disrupts what you thought was love. What the enemy meant to use as a slow death to your purpose, God has turned into the birthplace of your discernment. What was sent to confuse you has only confirmed who you are, and heaven rejoices over you. Not because you saw it all coming, but because you allowed the Spirit to correct your course when you didn't. You are no longer tied to manipulation. You are no longer yoked to what wore the mask of loyalty, but never walked in truth. And as you move forward, every step will carry the weight of wisdom. The people around you will shift. The way you love will change. Not because you're bitter, but because you've been trained by fire. And fire does not leave its students the same. God did not rescue you just to keep you safe. He rescued you to elevate you, to position you for what's ahead, to clear the noise so you could finally hear the sound of your own calling again. He is placing you where counterfeit connections can't survive, where charm has no influence, where only those sent by Him can enter. So rise, chosen one, not as a victim, but as a vessel. Not just as someone who saw the truth, but as someone who now carries it. You are not marked by betrayal. You are marked by God's protection, and the man who tried to blend into your blessing is now part of your testimony, not your future. The curtain has lifted, the name has been revealed, and the story doesn't end here. It begins. After the unveiling, you've made it to this moment, not just by watching or listening, but by enduring. You didn't receive a message. You survived a spiritual battle, one you couldn't always see, but your soul felt every step of the way. And now the veil has been torn. What was hidden is now known. The name that once lingered in mystery has been exposed by the light of God's truth. And with that truth comes freedom. This wasn't just about identifying a man. It was about awakening your spirit, about restoring your sight, about returning you to the center of who you were before manipulation crept in and fogged your discernment. What God has done in this moment is more than a warning. It's a realignment. He's not just showing you what to walk away from. He's showing you what you're walking toward. Peace without pretense. Love without control. Destiny without delay. You are not walking out of this broken. You are walking out of this bold. Not with questions clinging to your heart, but with clarity as your crown. The Lord didn't reveal the truth to punish you. He revealed it because you were ready. And now that you know, you will not go back. Not to the confusion, not to the second guessing, not to the silence that covered your instincts. From this day forward, you walk in light. Let this be your line in the sand. The moment you stopped entertaining what didn't match your spirit, the moment you stopped explaining away what your heart already knew, the moment you finally said, enough, and heaven agreed. Because you are chosen, and chosen ones don't live in confusion. They walk in clarity. They walk in truth. And now, because of God's mercy, so will you.